Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you guys for coming back again. As you guys see by the title, we're going to be talking about the Minnesota Vikings backfield, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison. I'm going to be discussing the carry situation, whether it should be a split, how I think the Vikings should handle it throughout the year. I think it's a pretty open-minded discussion. I do think there's a lot of possible options, but I think you guys might be shocked by a couple of my answers. Thanks so much for the support on the channel. It's really growing super well right now. Videos coming out every couple of days. Obviously, once it hits August and training camp and preseason gets going, it's multiple videos every single day. This is going to be my top priority in August, so get excited for that because I'm really excited to really start diving in, getting super excited for the season. But we got to talk about Dalvin Cook and Mattison. We have an injury prone, I hate saying that, I'm going to take that back, I'm not saying that. We have a superstar running back who gets hurt a decent amount, and then we have this another star running back who I think has crazy potential in Alexander Mattison. What should they do with the carries? Again, thank you guys so much. Let's get into it right now. Okay, so splitting carries. I know, like, the initial reaction is, why would you split carries with Dalvin Cook? You know, it's Dalvin Cook. It's Dalvin Cook. Like, you want him to get the ball every time. I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying when it comes to splitting carries, sometimes you really need to think about it. What is best for your team when it comes time to win big games? Listen, I don't care personally if Dalvin gets 25 carries weeks 1 and 2 versus the Bengals and the Cardinals. I care if Dalvin gets 25 carries when it's the divisional round of the playoffs and he's at 100%. Because we still have not had a season where Dalvin was the workhorse from week 1 and he finished it being the workhorse the entire season. It hasn't happened. And going into the playoffs last year, you know, he was fine. He was healthy most of the year. However, he did still get banged up. And then if you go to the year before that, when Dalvin kind of really came on the scene and was healthy most of the year, except for later on in the year, and then he ran crazy against the Saints, we saw in the second half even of that Saints game back in the playoffs, and then following week in San Francisco, he was not good against San Francisco. He only ran for 19 yards, and now it might be easy to deflect blame off Dalvin Cook and blame it on the offensive line. But if you go look at that game against San Francisco, Dalvin Cook was not Dalvin Cook that game. He looked tired. He looked fatigued. He looked like he had just taken a beating, which he had against the Saints. The Saints really got after him that game. So we haven't really seen a Dalvin Cook who's been able to play week 1 to week 19 in the NFL season. But then again, not many running backs can, which is kind of getting to my point. This is a good problem to have for the Vikings. This is a great problem to have. I'm excited talking about this because the only reason I'm talking about this is because the talent of Alexander Mattison. Now, I know everybody's going to go back, and I was very tough on Alexander Mattison when we were in Seattle. I think it was week 4 this year, and he missed a wide open hole. Listen, I agreed with Zimmer going for it. Zimmer, they had the right play call. Everything was right. It's just for some reason in Alexander Madison's mind, he decided to bull rush it right up the middle instead of bouncing it to the hole on the outside, which he probably could have scored on. So I think this is a good problem. I think Alexander Mattison has incredible skill. How I would handle it. Listen, your first 2 games in Cincinnati, in Arizona. I think, obviously, Dalvin Cook should be the starter. He should get most of them. But I think early on in the year, I think we should be looking at a 65-35 split. Not a 60-40, not a 70-30. I think it just be 65-35, where Dalvin's getting 18 to 22, and then Mattison's getting 8 to 12. Around those type of numbers when it comes to splitting carries. Because listen, if the Vikings are going to run the ball 30 times a game, I would want that to be 20 carries for Dalvin, 10 carries for Mattison. And then if it's more, it's more. If it's less, it's less. I just think that's how it should be. I think Dalvin should obviously get he gets the first couple drives. And then if he's rolling and he's feeling good, he's rolling, he's feeling good. You can obviously let Dalvin rip off a couple 30-carry games. He's getting paid for that. But then again, at the end of the day, I don't care if Dalvin runs for 30 rushes, 175 yards, and 2 touchdowns against the Bengals. I really don't. I just care that the Vikings win that game, even if Dalvin has 20 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown. And then Mattison has 10 carries for, just say, 50 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, this is a hypothetical when the Vikings have a dominant run game and the offensive line can move people, which they can against the Bengals and Cardinals. Especially since it's early on in the year, I don't think you should have to exert Dalvin to where you empty his tanks week 1 and 2. And I know Dalvin Cook is probably, if he would hear this, he would get upset because obviously he's a running back. He thinks he can, run through the league and run through every single week. And I know we don't say this about Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry has a different pass than Dalvin Cook. Christian McCaffrey has a different pass than Dalvin Cook. And we're talking about just running back rankings in the NFL. I was saying this a lot last year. Derrick Henry right now to me is the best running back in the NFL. However, if I have both running backs at 100%, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, they're both 100% fresh. They're both going into a playoff game. I am taking Dalvin Cook, though. Now, I know you might be saying, what are you talking about? But listen, Derrick Henry, if it's throughout a season, throughout a playoff run even, I'm taking Derrick Henry. But if it's just for one game and they're both 100% healthy and I don't need to look at the ramifications for next week, I'm going to say, Dalvin, you got one game. Here we go. I think he's the most talented running back when it comes to pass catching, even blocking on third down, and especially in the running game. I think he's the most talented. When I say they should split carries, this is not a diss at Dalvin Cook. This is almost like, hey, Dalvin, I love seeing you run crazy in the regular season. But my man, I want to see you run crazy in the postseason. So I think this should be more of a split this year. I really do. And I think, listen, Mattison is also in a contract year. Mattison's going to be running with a chip on his shoulder because, again, he hasn't really had he's had some opportunities to really show off his skills, and I know other teams have probably taken notice. But if he's going to hit the free agent market and he could say, hey, look, I had 5.5 yards per carry behind Dalvin Cook. I just need an opportunity. That would be great for him. So we have a running back who's going to be running with a chip on his shoulder. I'm excited. Listen, I'm super excited about this year. This is a great problem to have. This is a great problem to have. Vikings fans, I'm super excited. We are going to get after this year. We're going to run the ball like crazy. However, also, I think in some games, I think something that they could do to reduce Dalvin's carries. They did this last year and it drove me crazy. When we're playing the Chicago Bears, they have a great front seven. Their secondary is decent. Just pass the ball. If you're going against teams that have really good front sevens, weak secondaries, just let Jefferson and Thielen get 10 catches each. Let them get 15 targets each. Let them dominate the game. And just let Dalvin be like, hey, dude, you're going to get 10 to 15 touches today. Mattison, you're going to get 5 to 6. We're going to throw the ball over the lot. That's also another way. I just want Dalvin 100% for the postseason. That's my point of this video. Should they split carries? 100%. 65-35. And then as it progressively goes to the season, when you're at week 15, 16, 17, 18, I want to see more of like a 70-30, 80-20. And then when it comes to postseason, even if Dalvin needs a break for a drive, Mattison will have the confidence because he's had a lot of first-team reps and thrown in there. I think most of you guys will agree with me on this. It's not a shot at Dalvin Cook at all. This is almost a appraisal of Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video, comment down below. Skol Vikes, so excited for the season. Let's get after it.